Hi, I'm Jen Ferguson with Artistic Painting Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to transform an old chair with some gorgeous foils. Okay, this is an old, I want to say vinyl chair. We found it on the side of the road in our complex. And what I want to do is just clean up and sand the base and the two bars that are holding the back of it on here. And I'm just going to spray it all black, just so it's nice and neutral. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to clean, sand, and then take it outside to spray. Okay, I brought this back outside again because I'm using Rust-Oleum 2X paint primer. You always want to be in a well-ventilated area when you're spraying any kind of rattle can. I have put plastic on the vinyl covering it because I don't want to get the spray on there. I just want to get the bars and the base. And we're just going to turn this black. Okay, guys, we're back. We got the chair inside, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just using some isopropyl alcohol. Okay, I just have it in a spray bottle, and anytime I'm working on leather or pleather, I find that it's just super easy to clean up the surface with just alcohol. Okay, and the nice thing is it also evaporates super quickly. So you can get this process done pretty fast. So all I've done so far is spray paint the base of the chair, and I used a satin black, which that made that process go pretty darn quick. Sometimes we're looking for, quick application, and that worked fine. So all I'm going to do is clean this up and then get it ready for our foil adhesive. And I'm just trying to get to all of these spots. This is probably going to be the hardest section, is the back of the chair here, the seat area. Okay, so once you have the chair cleaned up, and I would just double check, make sure you get into that stitching area really well too, because I feel like that is just like a dirty section of the chair where just dirt and dust collect. Okay, let it air out for a couple of minutes. Make sure that it feels completely dry, that the rubbing alcohol has completely evaporated. And then our next step is going to be using our Artsyville Embellishments foil adhesive. I have a large gallon container here right now, but we do sell this in smaller jars. So it comes in 4-ounce, 10-ounce quarts, and gallons. And the next thing we're going to do is just cover the whole thing directly with our foil adhesive on the vinyl. I've done a bench before like this, and it works super great. I'm going to pick a foil color that is going to be complemented by the dark base as well. I'm just going to go grab a brush because I'm going to use a roller on here for most part, but I know I'm going to have to brush into some of the smaller areas. So I'm using a low nap roller, and just grabbing some of the adhesive out of the gallon container, working it into the roller, and then just trying to figure out which is going to be the easiest way. Let's just start on top, okay? And as you can see, the adhesive goes on looking milky white, and it will dry down to a nice, clear, completely clear, shiny when it's dry. So don't freak out when you first see this. The foil adhesive always goes on in a milky white. The darker your surface is, the more that you can notice how milky white the adhesive is. If you go onto something that's a lighter background, like a white or an off-white, you're probably not going to notice how milky white it is. But no matter what color the background is, it's always going to go on in the milky white as it comes out of the container. And as it starts to dry down, that's when it gets clear. Working on a vinyl or pleather surface, I'm going to let this foil adhesive sit overnight and make sure that we have a really good dry, so it dries down to a nice, firm, hard tack, okay? I'm having to brush some of the edges, okay, but getting down in here is going to be just a little trickier. Turn this around still. It does swivel, it's just a little tight. And get to the underneath part here, which is going to be a little bit more challenging for me. Making life on me a little easier, I went and got my rolling stool. Okay, now we've got the whole back of the seat done. I'm going to swivel this around and try to get the cushion. And we're going to go for the hardest part first and get the back of the seat. Okay, again, this was just a yard sale find. I think it was probably free and in my neighborhood. Somebody kicked it to the curb. I thought it would be cute here at the studio to try to give it a makeover. And we're going to go find a foil that will work well on this. Now, there's going to be some challenging areas. As I was putting on the foil adhesive, I definitely noticed. So I'm going to find a foil that's going to be super forgiving no matter how it lays down. If it gets crinkled, wrinkled, and all that great stuff, that will still look good. So I'm going to go find one while this dries. I would suggest on any type of leather, pleather, or vinyl project, you do let the foil adhesive dry overnight. We are going for Jungle Love as one of our newest foils. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge as I get to the back of the seat, okay? Because the seat is so close to the back of the chair that it's going to be challenging to work in that area. But I felt it was safest to start at the bottom and work my way up. Because that way, if you were starting, I don't know, everywhere else in my mind, I felt like the adhesive was going to grab the foil and cause me issues. So I thought if I start it down here, I might be best, okay? I'm also using my fingernail to make sure that I get that foil shoved up underneath the trim. Oh, no, it's not trim. What is that called? There's a word for it, okay? I'll think of it eventually. Okay, so this is the section. This is the section that's going to be super, super challenging, guys. And I don't even know if you're going to be able to see me do this, because the part of the seat is behind here. So this is going to be kind of crazy, okay? I think my best thing would have been, oh, this is just catching and catching and catching. The best thing would have been to not put adhesive on the back until the seat was done. Now, of course, I didn't think about that until it was way too late. Don't you get into those projects where you just don't always think them out totally before you get going, and then all of a sudden you're getting ready to work on it? You're like, how on earth did I think I was going to do that? So it would have been much smarter, but we're here, and we're just going to make it work. And it's the back, so if it doesn't look great, which I know it's not going to look as good as the sides, but I feel like it's not turning out horrible. But I just wanted to point out the fact that when you get ready to do your project, maybe think things out a little bit better than I did. And if you have areas that are going to be so close together like this, give yourself a little bit more grace to be able to get the foil there, okay? Well, it wasn't as horrible as I thought, okay? I think I got it. I don't think it's perfect, but if I can barely see back there, nobody else is going to be able to see back there either. So that wasn't awful. But let's go ahead and spin. And this is going to be so amazing, okay? Okay, so I pre-cut some pieces, and sometimes when you that's not a great word. Sometimes when you have a project that you only have two hands, okay, you don't have any extra hands, I'm rolling the foil with the transfer side exposed, okay? And this way I can kind of grab a hold of everything and get it in position at the back, okay? Now I can open it up and get it in position up here, okay? Now I also want to try to keep this front edge up a little bit, because I don't want a perfect line to come into the foil. I want to try to match my pattern a little bit and seam it together, okay? So I'm going to try and keep that edge up. Let's just scrub and see what we get. Okay, you will have to pull it up and get it to fall into that lower section. Okay, again, I'm going to use my fingernail to try to get it in there, because it's going to grab all your high points first. And then we're going to start critiquing this, seeing how we're doing, okay? Another one of the reasons I went for this darker print, yeah, starting to get too much of that on there, okay, is I knew that this dark vinyl background would be complementary. So if we did it with some areas that didn't transfer perfectly, it wasn't going to be a big issue, okay? So I'm just trying to do what I call my peeking, lift the carrier sheet, have it fall back into place, scrub again, Get those little bits and pieces that didn't transfer maybe the first scrub. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so fun. Okay, so the peel and reveal has never gotten old to me at all, okay? I absolutely love seeing things when the foil transfers. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up here so that you guys have a really good view of that, okay? Matching the pattern up is gonna be very, very tricky. So I think we're just gonna go for this, okay? I'm just gonna overlap and finish it off, okay? Now, backing up to everything that I did to prepare this piece, it wasn't much, okay? Cleaned it well with some rubbing alcohol. It is just, I'm sure, an expensive vinyl. I even have an area here that has a imperfection. And we were just gonna leave it and go for it, okay? Now this is similar to the bench that I did. And the bench has been used. Once we're done transferring all the foil on this, I will use our final coat to seal it and give it the ultimate protection. And it should wear just as well as the vinyl did before, okay? I have a little bit of a seam here, not too bad. I probably would have done that different now, going from front to back and have that seam maybe a little bit further in the back. But that is going to show me that when we do the back of this, I want to go ahead and go from the bottom all the way up to the top, or from the top all the way to the bottom with one full piece, okay? So our foil is not going to make it all the way, so we're going to end up with seams on the side. I think seams on the side is better than, so I'm talking this through, you guys, okay? Better than a seam down the middle, okay? So again, let's cut ourselves a piece. I'm going to do what's called back rolling it, okay? So now that the chair part is done, I can use it as my table. And back rolling the foil so that the transfer side will be exposed. And the way that this chair is put together, there is a part of this that just swoops to the back, but I'm going to turn it around just so that you can see there's this swooped area. Okay, so I'm going to get that piece of foil to hopefully fit into that and bring it over the front. And I think that will be the best, hopefully, way of doing this. We'll see. I also want to try to get this to where I'm getting it as centered as possible. Okay, definitely would be awesome to have more hands, but when you just don't have those available, you do the best you can. It's going to look more, a little bit more worn, okay? But I feel that at least this was a good direction to start in. Now, with a piece this size, you have the possibility to recruit a family member, a girlfriend, a husband, whomever, one of your kids, maybe having those extra hands to get it laying down will be nice, okay? Just to have those extra hands on here. The release is just beautiful. We're never going to say it's going to be 100%, but this is pretty close, okay, even with all my imperfections. we're gonna have to cut another piece. This is coming together really well, guys. I'm super excited about this. Okay, trying to see if I got that long enough. I don't, so I want to cut another piece. Cut a long piece, and now I'm going to cut it in half so I can put one side on here and one side on there. And try to finish off the front. And you could definitely take your time, really look at this foil well and see if you can find the repeat if you were worried about matching that up, okay, and having it perfect. I'm actually going to cut the excess off because it's going to want to curl and to the back, and I don't want to go there yet, okay? So I'm going to try to keep this just on the front section. And let's do the same over here. So even the one little area where I told you there was an imperfection in the vinyl, I think even that has been kind of hidden with this pattern. So that is super cool. Okay, so when you are scrubbing in your next sections of foil, you want to make sure not to scrub on top of the transferred area because it can scratch it. So if you have to move down to a smaller tool, then do, okay? Grab your toothbrush as I am and give this edge. And again, the fingernail seems to be the best thing to get it all the way down into that crevice there. Coming out so awesome, you guys. This is so fun to see it come to life. Let me just see if just rubbing with my cloth give us enough coverage. Still need a little scrubbing. Woohoo, guys. That's not too bad as quick as this is really coming together. You can see how bright and shiny it's starting to look. And let's just go for the back. I know I'm going to have to probably dive underneath this a little bit. Let's try and get it to cooperate and turn for me. Okay, so we got the back of the chair. And again, it's going to be wider than the roll, but I still think I'm going to go ahead and do the same philosophy. And go down the back, just kind of measuring the length of the piece I need. Again, got to back roll it. Just helps you to control so that it's not grabbing everywhere. I mean, the minute this foil is going to touch the chair, it's going to want to grab, okay? So I'm going to go up high, try to get those corners. Let's see how smooth I can get this one on with as few wrinkles as possible. Huh. Not too bad. Okay, let's get this up here and do some scrubbing now. Wanted to get off of that curve here so I could get the foil straight. Just using a plastic nail brush and scrubbing the whole surface. You could get a bigger brush out if you have one handy. At this point, I think a little bit larger would be easier, but these were the ones I grabbed. I knew I'd need my toothbrush for the areas that where I call the nooks and the crannies, okay, to get in there. And then, even though a bigger brush might have been good to start with, I still feel like I always go back to my smaller scrub brushes just to scrub more precisely. Looking awesome, you guys. My ugly chair is not going to be so ugly anymore. It's actually going to have character and style. The side's done. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut one full piece. I'm going to cut it down the middle. So I got two sections, okay. I definitely have some leftover, but that will be where I can go and fill in anywhere. Okay, let's overlap. You always want to overlap, okay? Let's get that section on. Let's move this a little bit. And let's get our last corner on here, okay? Hopefully I got this piece wide enough. I think I do. Whew, okay. That was not as bad as I thought, but I can still feel I definitely need to wrap the under part under here, because when I did the front, I didn't go that far down. So I definitely need to get in there and get a little bit more foil transferred to the under part of the back. Okay, I think this piece is almost ready to come off. Okay, last corner, last section. I feel like I've accomplished something big here, okay? Okay, guys, we are to the final step of our project here, which is to protect it, which we're going to be using our final coat, which is a wipe-on varnish, which is awesome to work with because it's going to go so quick on a surface like this. So I'm using the final coat semi-gloss because we want to keep this, you know, a little shiny. But this product stays flexible. So as you're sitting on here and using this, it should wear beautifully and have no issues. So I like to use our wiping sponge to apply this. And I just tip the bottle over to the sponge. And I'll tip it over a couple times, just try to make sure I've got some product loaded in there well. And truly, it is just a wipe-on varnish, okay? So you are going to just wipe it on. This stuff is meant to go on super thin, and it builds with layers. So you're going to put it on nice and thin to begin with, and probably put on maybe about 5 or 6 layers. And I'm just making sure that I've got quite a bit in the sponge because I don't wash the sponge out. This is another little tip and trick. It's great just to go ahead and keep the sponge loaded, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then just pull it out as you need it. That way you're not rinsing it out and by chance possibly wasting any product at all. If you need to, you could always put it into the fridge if you felt that it was getting to where it didn't look like it was holding up well, okay? But if you do put it in the fridge, you want to let it get back to room temperature before you use it. I'm going to try to get this on around here so that you can see, okay? And then I'm just trying to check where the ribbing is on the edges, that I don't have a bunch of product sitting there. And I'm catching it from every angle here, making sure the back of the seat's done. We'll let this dry, which takes about 10 to 20 minutes, probably max, because it's going on so super thin, it dries quickly, so you can just keep layering and layering. So I'll wait about 10-15 minutes, make sure it feels nice and dry, and keep putting on another coat. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this fun tutorial For a complete list of all the materials and supplies, they will be in the description below. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming tutorials.